open our meetings.
Thank you, Chairman. To open the meetings of the New York State Housing Finance Agency, the Affordable Housing Corporation, and the Housing Trust Fund Corporation, I ask for motions seconds to call to order, consider each agenda item, and later adjourn the meetings. I'll ask for individual votes from the members of the HFA Board, AHC Board, and HTFC Board, starting with Chairman Weiss.
Aye.
Commissioner Wisnauskas.
Aye.
Mr. Olzak.
It's Morris Peters on behalf of the Budget Director.
Okay,
But
Mr. Peters. Mr. Curtis.
Aye.
Mr. McIntyre. Aye. And Ms. Young Watkins.
Aye.
To open the meeting of the HFA Finance and Program Committee, I ask for motions and seconds to call to order, consider each agenda item, and later adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
Second. And to open the meetings of the HFA Audit Committee, the AHC Audit Committee, the HTFC Audit Committee, the HFA Governance Committee, the AHC Governance Committee, and the HTFC Governance Committee, I ask for motions and seconds to call to order, consider each agenda item, and later adjourn these meetings.
So moved.
Second, okay. For the individual votes of each committee member, we will accept the previous vote. These meetings are officially open. To open the meeting of the State of New York Mortgage Agency, ask for motions and seconds to call to order, consider each agenda item, and later adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
Second. I'll ask for individual votes from the members of the SONYMA Board, starting with Chairman Weiss.
Aye.
Commissioner Wisnauskas.
Aye.
Mr. Peters.
Aye.
Professor Ford.
Here.
Mr. Capel.
Yes.
And Ms. Peel. To open the meeting of the SONYMA Mortgage Insurance Committee, ask for motions and seconds to call to order, consider each agenda item, and later adjourn this meeting. Motion.
So moved.
Thank you. To open the meeting of the SONYMA Audit Committee, ask for motions and seconds to call to order, consider each agenda item, and later adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
Second. And to open the meeting of the SONYMA Governance Committee, I ask for motions and seconds to call to order, consider each agenda item, and later adjourn this meeting. Okay, for the individual votes of each committee member will accept the previous votes. These meetings are officially open. Finally, to open the meetings of the State of New York Municipal Bond Bank Agency and the Tobacco Settlement Financing Corporation, I ask for motions and seconds to call to order, consider each agenda item, and later adjourn the meetings.
So moved.
Second.
I'll now ask for individual votes from each member of the MBBA Board and the TSFC Board, starting with Chairman Weiss.
Aye.
Mr. Peters.
Aye.
Mr. Gonzalez.
Aye.
And Mr. Sanfilippo.
Aye.
To open the meetings of the MBBA Audit Committee and the TSFC Audit Committee, I ask for motions and seconds to call to order, consider each agenda item, and later adjourn these meetings.
So moved.
So moved. Second.
And to open the meetings of the MBBA Governance Committee and the TSFC Governance Committee, I ask for motions and seconds to call to order, consider each agenda item, and later adjourn these meetings.
So moved.
Okay. Second. For individual votes of each of these committees, each member of these committees will accept the previous votes. All of the meetings are now officially open.
Great, thank you. Before I turn things over to the commissioner, I just want to thank the directors for being here. We're down a few, 4 actually, due to illness. So thank you for those who are here. We need you. And I just want to wish everyone happy holidays. We won't see each other until January after this, so happy holidays and happy new year. And with that, I'll turn it over to the commission.
Couple things. Recently, gosh, I now can't remember when this was, but in the last 2 weeks, maybe, or 3 weeks, the Supportive Housing Network of New York held an annual event, as they do, and they honored one of our staff, which was exciting. Brett Hebner, who is in the Albany office and who is often presenting on HTFC 9%, runs our 9% tax credit program, was awarded the 2025 Unsung Hero Award, which was really great for him to be recognized by his peers. You know, every year they honor different people, and Brett has amazing contributions to our work. He worked at the Office of Temporary Disability Assistance, OTDA, who we co-fund a lot with. He worked at the Office of Mental Health, who we also co-fund a lot, and then we were fortunate to steal him over to HCR, and sort of he has this very strong sort of through line of his work in housing, in serving special needs populations and homeless populations. So it was great to, Brett is very humble, and so it was very nice for him to be recognized. And other staffing news, I also want to let folks know, we have a DEI committee here at the agency, and Veronica Flanders has been the co-chair of that committee and was really instrumental in its internal organization and sort of getting up and drafting the bylaws, and she is going to sit down as the co-chair. And Aryiro Boyle, who doesn't often come before the board, is going to join another person named Toyce Francis, who works, Aryiro works in the tenant protection unit, and Toyce on our public information office, and they are going to co-chair the committee starting in January. So we wanted to pate Veronica a little formally at the meeting for stepping down as a co-chair and welcome Toyce and Aryiro to that role. It's been a busy month for events. I was up in Syracuse where we broke ground on the first phase for the Syracuse Housing Authority, which is doing a tremendous renovation, rehabilitations, or remaking of their one of their complexes, which is right along the I-81, which is coming down and has been sort of a big part of the renaissance of Syracuse. So we were very excited to start the first of what is going to be many phases there. Ooh, thank you. I'm gonna try this one. I was also up in Kingston where we cut a ribbon on a brand new community that was the county. Ulster County had a jail that they closed down, and it was demolished, and now is a 20-acre site for 165 affordable housing apartments, serving a multi-generational and also serving with a broad range of supportive services. So always, I think, wonderful in the work we do to see a place like a jail come down and be reborn for great use. It's also been a busy speaking time. The New York Housing Conference did an event last week, I think it was, and many members of the staff were on some panels, as was I, talking about our work. There was the New York State Association for Affordable Housing did a breakfast yesterday, and I spoke on a panel, again, sort of talking about all the great stuff that's happened this year and what's our sort of looking ahead to next year. And so we'll sort of continue to be speaking about our work. And as we close out the work, and I want to thank the board in December for what's been a busy year. You all have approved on the multifamily side over 5,000 units of housing, including 2,000 in New York City. It was about 58. 68, 78, about 87 deals across the two boards, about 58 that came through for multifamily on the HFA board, and about almost 30 that came through the HTFC board. You supported on the SONYMA board bond issuances of around $400 million for first-time homebuyer loans, serving just sort of to date over 1,300 first-time homebuyers, but that number will grow a little bit as we go towards the end of the year. So I know we don't always keep a running ticker month over month, but it's in aggregate is an enormous body of work. And so I thank you all for being here to do that month over month. And we have small little holiday presents for you all that will arrive sometime between now and the end of the meeting. So thanks everyone, and happy holidays.
5,000 is a nice number.
Yeah. It's a you know, like as I said, sort of you see it month by month, you see it at the sort of the micro, and it's nice. We'll do this in January when we do the financials. We'll also do sort of a look back and give a broader, both for SONYMA and HFA, a broader overview of the projects and the deals and where they are and what they are. But I just wanted to give a little flavor given that it's December.
Yeah. Thank you,
So,
Ruth
thank
Ann,
you.
and thank you and the rest of the staff who do an amazing job and get it all done. So,
Thanks.
okay, item number 2 on the agenda, approval of the prior meeting's minutes. We will deem those approved absent any corrections. Item 3, follow-up review of 2024 audit reports, and I'll invite Hanim Babayeva, Vice President, Internal Audit, to come up and present that item and the next item. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. So I have 2 items today for you for approval. First is follow-up report for 2024 audit recommendations. This is the regular audit that we do at the end of the year for the previous year recommendations to make sure that management actually does what they promised us to do, or or if they choose alternative actions, which is absolutely okay, that they do something about this, or if they are struggling, what is the reason for not implementing? So we are happy to say that about 52% of our recommendations were fully implemented. And we are expecting a big portion of them to be implemented soon. And we see the main reason for partial implementation as budget constraints, technological issues, outdated legacy systems, and or let's say expectancy of the alternative actions to be approved. So for this year, follow-up, 2024 year follow-up, we can say that we, as an auditors, we are satisfied with the level of management reaction to our recommendations. So I'm asking you to approve this report.
Terrific. Thank you. That's great. Any questions?
Just one question. Just you mentioned that 52% figure, and said the reasons that it wasn't higher. Could you just reiterate what the 48% was about?
Yeah, absolutely. So I presented you the aggregate number. So if we will break down this, it's like 6 audits were implemented. And for each of the audit, for example, for one of them, we have 100% implementation. For another one, we have 75% implementation. So the biggest issue that our Department of Technology faces is that due to the outdatedness of the technology and the old systems, there is, first of all, there is an absence of a final decision about what will be done and how and when. Yeah, so let's say they are changing their plans as they go. And that's why whatever they promised us in 2022 that we are still following up on, it's not been implemented. So their score, which is very low, it brings down the total.
But your review is towards progress. You're assessing whether the commitments and the implementation is working towards a plan that you have recommended.
Absolutely. We will not force them to do something that they promised us in 2022 because it's not practical anymore. Right. But they still need to come up with a new action plan and prove the implementation.
Great.
Is there any way that you can give them some incentive for, not incentive, I guess, what's the opposite of incentive?
Nudge.
3 years is a long time. So.
Deterrence, yeah, deterrence. Actually, the fact that I'm here today reporting the lower implementation rate that we, let's say, desire is the method for them to react to this.
They receive that message.
Absolutely.
So we should expect in the coming year some progress.
Yeah, and this is not only our department who follows up with them, it's also Department of Financial Services who takes our reports and follow-ups with the IT department separately.
One question on that is, the one that was had a 0 out of 6 was actually the technology project that was moving the agency forward with technology, but then you're saying that part of the reason it didn't move forward was because of outdated technology.
Yes, so we call that review post-implementation. So it's not about BAM, it's actions after BAM.
Got it. Okay.
So
but
actions.
Wouldn't that mean though that the new technology is in place?
No.
No.
This is exactly what it means, that new technology that's supposed to be implemented after BAM was not implemented yet.
Okay. So we can't spend a lot of time on that, but just, so what are they doing about it?
They are considering several options right now. Yes, that's why they changed the course of actions that they planned initially. And right now we are expecting them to give us some action plan that they will actually
So is there at some point
technically possible to follow.
Is there at some point where they see consequences to this being drawn out now 3 years and counting.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
The only thing I would say to consider is I think that it was, Thomas had been great and presented sort of a technology roadmap for the agency. And I think it would be great to make sure that your assessments sort of integrate with that technology roadmap so that there is that sort of long-term visibility with that. That's it.
I was just ask Betsy to maybe just weigh in on the.
Yeah, I think, can you hear me? I don't know if the folks.
Yes.
I'm not sure, sorry, where
Here.
Tom will be joining because he's presenting later, so can provide more detail. Most of what is in these 6 recommendations, which you can see in the detail of the report, is actually at this point, we need to like upgrade BAM, upgrade the SAP, the platform, and we're doing that in this upcoming year. So they're all in progress and should be closed out through that process.
Are we using BAM?
Yeah.
We are.
Oh, yeah. We wouldn't be operating if we weren't.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
Great, thanks. Thanks, Betsy. Will?
Okay, this
Oh,
is,
thank you for this.
this item is before the audit committees for HFA, AHC, SONYMA, MBBA, and TSFC. Resolution transmitted in connection with the item. Assuming the motion and second previously recorded, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion is carried. The resolution is adopted.
Thank you. Item 4, statewide asset management unit review of monitoring compliance and risk assessment. Haneem?
Yes, so this was an audit of asset management operations covering the public authority side, not the state side, which is definitely bigger part of their operations. We looked at the main function of this unit is monitoring of the property managers and let's say making sure that they are following all our rules, legislation, and etc. So during this audit, we discovered several deficiencies on the way how property managers are handling the project, including missing documentation, not properly accounting for deposits, tenant deposits, and etc. And partial disagreement between audit and asset management leadership is about the fact that they do not take the responsibility directly. So they are saying this is a property manager's responsibility to handle those projects. And of course, we are taking this into consideration that you found these deficiencies. But main idea was that it's not their direct responsibility. We understand the position of management, but we still insist that asset management, if they will not even, let's say, it's okay not to implement what we recommend, but at least do something about this toward the property managers that they are supposed to audit and monitor. So we did audits on a sample basis. So their function is more of 100% monitoring function of those property managers. That's why they might and need to use the information from our audit to apply it toward their checks of the tenant managers. So that's why even regardless of disagreement, usually, process is that if managers and auditors disagree, we do not bring that disagreement in front of the board. We try to handle it before the board. Yeah, but in this case, we agree to disagree. Yeah, and I'm bringing it forward, so you would know that we will expect them to act upon our let's say discoveries, maybe not recommendations, but discoveries, definitely.
And what would be the consequences of inaction on their part?
They need to include the deficiencies we discovered into their monitoring checklists, to pay attention to the areas that we discovered were problematic, and in a year or less, show us the proof that it was done.
And to his point, though, suppose they don't.
Then I will be here talking about this again.
You'll be here, of course.
Yeah.
Okay, but will there be any consequences? I guess is the point that both of us are.
Consequences up to you, of course.
Okay.
I was also thinking about the consequences to the managers.
It's up to the leadership, of the organization, because we have up to the, let's say, stopping their function and moving it to another manager. Yeah, but it depends on the severity of the issue. If they are able to handle it, fix it, correct it, of course, it should be just a notification to them, or maybe, let's say, some reprimand letter or whatever. But if it's a continuous issue, if they will miscalculate the deposits of the tenants and it will lead to some, let's say, legal actions against our organization, then we might consider the strongest actions.
Christy, did you have a question?
Curious about the legal relationships. So
When,
SAMU monitors this portfolio on behalf of a different entity, and then the different entity, do they monitor the who executes the management contracts, and what's the relationship
Ours?
between our organization and this portfolio?
We as organization have a monitoring function,
feedback is coming from them.
oversight and monitoring function,
Thank you.
and direct contractual relationships are between tenants and property managers.
I guess my question was between the property manager and the state.
We wouldn't have, like, we would have regulatory agreements on the
That's it.
property that the owner is responsible for, so we don't have any direct relationship
Yeah.
with the property management company.
So the only enforcement mechanism is oversight.
Yeah, which differs whether it's a Mitchell-Lama or a bond, we have slightly different regulatory functions across the portfolio, but yeah, it would be with the property owner. Thank you.
One question.
When you refer to legal consequences, what does that entail?
You were talking about tenants, for
Yes,
tenants?
yes. If, let's say, tenants deposit information is not properly accounted, if, let's say, property manager took deposits from them like several times and did not properly account it for them, or did not return when it's time for return, this, I assume, might lead to some legal procedures.
On behalf of us or on behalf of the tenants?
Yeah, between the management company and the tenants.
Yes,
I think
between
she
the
means,
tenants
right?
and management company.
Okay.
Do you
Thank
think it
you.
would be helpful for the agency to have access to tools like, I don't know if you know, like Yardi or other things that are compliance tools that in fact could actually support the agency and engage? I mean, as we know, the number of units that we touch is so big, but do you think actually what would be helpful is actually empowering the asset management with more tools to be able to sort of handle this, especially via technology, and be able to monitor in more of like a dashboard format or something like that?
Yes, great that you mentioned this, because part of our observation was about the administrative, let's say, tools and work that this group is doing. They are involved in a lot of data entry.
Yeah, exactly.
Their technology is also, if I'm not mistaken, quite outdated. So this might definitely help them to proceed with the monitoring function.
Hey, guys.
Becky, you oversees asset management, also can answer questions, I think, and support.
Take her out of the hot seat with the cheese. So we have a brand new technology solution called ProLink that we've been using on the HFA side, which was subject to this, that we've been rolling out various components of over the last several years and are now focusing on the financial management component of that. But there's a lot more to do.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Just like, do you need to be empowered with more resources? I mean, we know that asset management is like the front line
It is.
of preservation of all of these things, and so like to be a well-resourced department is really important. So yeah, just want to check.
Yeah, I don't think it's a resource thing on the technology. I think it's the staff sort of slowly adding the different modules to take them on and use them, right? As a fair, like, it's not like we can't, it's not like we can't buy the thing. We just have to onboard.
Again, just when you're talking 3-4 years to get in line, this is, you know, in terms of just generalizing what you're talking about here, we just can't have that going forward, right?
3-4 years to get in line with the findings. I don't know if that's specific to the asset management.
No, 3 or 4 years were about the previous report. Yeah, we are going to follow up with them within a year, like maximum in a year.
Maximum a year.
Yeah.
Okay, and the same question, what happens if they're not in line after a year? Bring it here.
Yes, and decision will be up to you and of course the leadership of the agency about what can be done.
Yeah, but I think Becky and her team could come present specifics to the board about where we are and what we're doing so that it's not, Penny isn't in charge of, like, Becky can be accountable to you all.
Yep.
After mine, but for that,
And-
so.
And the question is, what can we do? Okay, so you make a presentation and you say, you should do X. Cut them loose at this point, or stop any further activity with this particular organization or firm, as the case may be?
With the management company, you mean, if they're not, yeah.
Yeah, so for, just depending on like the specifics of the building, we can remove the management company in certain circumstances. We can require the owner to remove the management company, but the most impactful thing we can do is say, we are not going to approve this management company taking on additional properties until they fix X, Y, and Z. So all the deals that you all approve have a management company associated with them. And if XYZ management company isn't up to snuff, then we just say you're not permitted into the portfolio until you clean up the buildings that you already have.
Okay, I know we have other things to talk about, but I guess just in closing, at the moment, I would just say, unless and until, SONYMA and the related organizations are clear that there are consequences to, 3 years is just, I'm stuck on that, It's like. Yep. I understand that. So I'm just saying after 3 years and you're still looking for the compliance, excuse me, to which you referred. I'm just, word gets around, I'm sure, in the circles that these people work with, that what is it, the bark is worse than the bite. So, and I'm sure we don't want to be in that kind of position.
When the biggest liability is on the tax side, right? If we don't have stuff, then we could trigger stuff on the bond side because we don't have the right tenants in. So I just think it's obviously important.
Yeah. Well, this is from the auditing perspective. We have reporting, we have compliance, and we have communication with the board. So, I think to the extent that there's a staff role to follow up, then, we'll look for you to report back to us.
And the good news is you're bringing it to our attention.
Yeah. Okay, so we need to move on. Thank you for that. Will?
Thank you, Will.
Thank you.
Thanks. That's it.
This item is a resolution before the audit committees for HFA, AHC, SONYMA, MBBA, and TSFC that was transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the motion second previously recorded, all in favor, please say aye.
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 The motion is carried. The resolution adopted.
Thank you. Thanks, Henning.
Thank you.
Item 5, HTFC Annual Authorities Budget Office Budget and Financial Plan, and Stacy Mickle, Director of Financial Administration, HTFC Treasurer, will present this item.
Good afternoon,
Stacey.
everyone. This afternoon, I'm here to present the ABO template or ABO plan for the budget and financial plan for the Housing Trust Fund Corporation. This is in the format as required by the authority's budget office. And so I present this as a kind of a high-level budget. In March, we will come back to the board with a much more detailed budget that outlines the projections for the upcoming fiscal year. But this particular presentation is required to be submitted to the authority's budget office no later than December 31st. The presentation reflects last year's actuals as tied into our financial statements. We also reflect a current year estimate on where we believe we're going to be as far as revenues and expenses for the year. And then we prepare a high-level proposed budget for the upcoming fiscal year and the subsequent outlying years. As I mentioned, this is the format that is required by the authority's budget office. So there's not really anything I can do about how this is presented. So I'm happy to answer any questions, but at this time I am seeking approval from the board to submit this presentation to the authority's budget office through the Paris reporting system.
I had one question.
Thank you, Stacy.
Yeah, obviously this is a huge portion of this budget is administration of federal grants. I see that staff is going down. The staff costs are going down, salaries and wages. But there's also been consistency in, the federal grants that are administered. Is that our belief? I hope it is, but I just wasn't sure if is there any indication to think that these are not going to materialize at these same levels at this point?
So I'm having a little bit of a hard time hearing the question. Is this related to the reduction in salaries and wages that you're reflecting here?
Well, the question is obviously you're reducing salaries and wages in the next year and keeping that consistent. But at the same time, I'm also interested in this idea and projection of growth in federal resources and whether that's sort of consistent with what we hopefully continue to get, but just versus is this where we believe the estimates actually are?
Sure. So the complicated nature of this presentation is that all of our federal grant dollars, federal and state dollars that we receive, including any administrative funds that we receive, have to come in under the non-operating revenue. On the Trust Fund Corporation, we utilize our administrative dollars from the federal and state resources to also pay for staff. But those associated expenses also need to be reported in the non-operating expenditures and not really in the salaries and wages. So that number that's reflected there in salaries and wages is actually a lower number than what our actual salaries and fringe is, because the salary and fringe related to those federal expenditures reflect in that line of the other non-operating expenditures. And we have increased the number of, or the amount that we've been able to recoup from these federal sources because we implemented the time distribution system in the last timekeeping system that has allowed us to capture expenses for these programs in other administrative units, such as finance or the legal department. And so you see those numbers going down because that number is lower, there's a smaller amount that's hitting our operating budget, as instead is coming off of the federal grant dollars that we're receiving.
Got it. So that's why the large jump in the other operating expenditures.
Correct.
Got it.
Great, thank you. Thanks, Stacy.
And what about the federal? Are we still anticipating these federal numbers will remain consistent at this point? Are we just fingers crossed, I guess, I assume?
Yes and no. I think,
okay.
Yes, some of it is a fingers crossed, but I don't think we're hearing anything, at least I haven't heard anything to the contrary coming out of the information we're getting. It sounds and looks like we're about going to be consistent with our HCB, with our PBCA, with our home and CDBG programs. So that's what we are hoping and projecting at this time.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Anything else? Will?
Okay, now before the HTFC Audit Committee and the HTFC Board are resolutions transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the motion and second previously recorded, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion is carried. The resolution is adopted.
Great, thank you, Stacy. Item 6, Independent Auditor Service Contracts. Ted Podest, Senior Vice President, Chief Financial Officer, will present this item. Ted? Hi.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So I'll take you through the salient facts of why we are looking to switch auditors and getting your approval. So in February, procurement put out an RFP. It went out to E&Y, the incumbent, 12 firms on the bidders list of agencies, 32 MBE firms, 18 WBE firms, and 3 SDVOB firms. The agencies only received 3 responses back from CLA, E&Y, and Lumsden and McCormick. So we went through the regular RFP process. It was interesting that the scoring, the incumbent E&Y won, but only by 1.8, only by pretty much less than 2 points versus CLA. Basically, we came, and so that was from February to June. In June, we came to the board and we got board approval to move ahead with the winner, which is the incumbent E&Y. About a month ago, there was some contract disputes, and we are looking to now move to Clifton Larson Allen, again, which was only in second place by 1.83 RFP points, how we scored it. So just wanted to take you through those facts. CLA, I've spoken to them just to find out if they have the resources to come in, because E&Y would have started on 12/5, so we're running a little late. They do have the resources, and they have excellent both HFA and public authority experience with over 9 states. So I really feel like we quickly mitigated the risk, and with your approval, we will move forward with CLA.
And Ted, just for clarity, contract dispute items that were in question with E&Y are not an issue with CLA?
They are not. They reviewed it. Their comments that came back did not touch that topic.
Okay, perfect.
Based on a previous engagement, right? the dispute, Not about the solicitation for renewal?
Correct.
Just to get maybe specific, in as much as E&Y has had that contract for so many years, what kind of contract dispute would they be having a problem with, in as much as they've been so familiar with the auditing process?
It's a great question, and
Ted,
it's
do you
one
want
that
to-
I've learned a lot on. So
Ted,
what-
do you want me to take it, or?
Well, I'll just give it a
Okay, sure.
100,000-foot answer, and then I think Will take it. But it looks like the executive order about MWBE versus the state law for MWBE are in direct conflict, and E&Y has, I think, close to $1 billion worth of federal contracts, and they're afraid to lose that.
So more technically on the legal side, they said that they would not move forward with a new agreement that included the state's MWBE utilization
That included,
requirements.
It included the MWBE.
Yeah.
requirements.
So,
so, which is state law.
which is state law, so,
Yes,
yeah.
glad to hear the state law. You know, the question, of course, is where do we see minority-owned firms coming into this process? So they, the firm that we would be selecting, then in turn gets a sub.
Yeah, they proposed with their own panel of MWBE and
What
SDVOB
level of
contractors.
participation is roughly might that be? In terms of just dollars, say 20%, 10%?
36.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's great to see that they work with a number of HFAs throughout the country.
Yes.
Public authority, so obviously I think that's transitioning to auditor is one thing, but one that understands a housing agency is another beast, so it's good.
From a
That's
timing
Tommy.
standpoint, I mean, what does this do in terms of our audits and how far behind? You said
Well,
December
I'll be
5th.
pitching a tent in Will's office till we get this signed in the next week and a half, hopefully. And
I mean, in terms of the audit work itself.
they could start as soon as we have the contract signed. And we didn't want to give them a copy until after we have, they have an older copy, right, that they look through just for high level. But after we get board approval, we'll look to negotiate that in the next week or two. So
Okay,
they
in
can
terms
come on.
of their work though, if you could just report back to us.
Absolutely.
From a timing standpoint, just to make sure we're still on track or how far off track we become.
Yeah, it's tough to measure the coming up to speed transition.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's going to be 2 or 3 weeks.
2 or 3 weeks is the end of the year.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
thank you.
The earliest they're going to actually get involved with any work is now January.
No, 12/15, but
Okay.
I'm hoping to have them start on 12/15, but they won't come in knowing, all of our, how we close, what our trial balances look like, so that'll be just some coming up to speed. But
Ted, can you remind the board just sort of the timeframe we're working on in terms of when we are aiming to have them complete would have had E&Y and now have these folks complete their work?
right, so 90 days for the state and 180 days for the bond resolution.
Yeah.
Please.
So just as a reminder, we would typically be coming to the board in January
Right.
with our audited financial statements completed. As Ted just said, wow, these mics are very hot today, sorry. That's January is 90 days after our fiscal year ends October 31st. Given this transition, we will very unlikely be coming in January, but we hope to be coming because he's pitching a tent and getting the contract signed as fast as possible. Quickly thereafter, we have until April 30th to be submitted to and to have audited financial statements to be in compliance on the bond side. And we have absolutely every intention of being to you before that.
Okay, great.
One flag is, has this been flagged for the Attorney General? Obviously, this is the federal government interfering in the state in contracting. And is that sort of overreach under like like McCulloch versus Maryland kind of statute?
Well,
Whoa, lawyer.
This was a, it was a procurement that was put out by the agency. We have our terms. Some of those terms are required by law, and people, respond to the procurement, and they either can complete the contract or they can't. In this case, the winning bidder was not able to complete the contract, so we moved on to the next one. We have, discussed it more broadly with our colleagues in state government, so people are aware.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure we're not the only agency that's confronting this.
Sure.
Yeah. Great. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Will?
Okay. This item, the resolutions before the HFA, AHC, SONYMA, MBBA, and TSFC audit committees and the full boards for those agencies. Now before those entities are resolutions transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the motion second previously recorded, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion is carried. The resolution is adopted.
Thank you. Item 7, amendment of the procurement and contract guidelines. Lisa Pignosi, Vice President, Procurement and Contracts, will present this item. Hi, Lisa.
Hi. Good afternoon, everyone. We're coming before you with amendments to both the HTFC procurement guidelines and the consolidated guidelines of HFA, SONYMA, AHC, MBBA, and TFC. We are presenting 3 substantive amendments to the guidelines. The first is to include an alternative method of procurement pursuant to New York State law, whereby the governor may, by executive order, temporarily suspend specific provisions of the law during a state disaster emergency. The second amendment proposed is to increase the monetary threshold for the waiver of competitive processes for MWBEs from the current threshold in the guidelines, which sits at $500,000, to the statutory limit of $1.5 million, and to add the monetary threshold amount for waiver of competitive processes for SDVOBs to $1.5 million. These changes mirror the statutory limit for these types of exceptions to competitive processes. And the third amendment is to include a section in the guidelines describing the SDVOB program requirements and SDVOB directives pursuant to law.
Thanks, Lisa. Questions? Okay, thanks, Will.
Okay, now before the governance committees and the full boards for HFA, AHC, HTFC, SONYMA, MBBA, and TSFC, a resolution is transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the motion and second previously recorded, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion is carried. The resolution is adopted.
Thanks, Lisa. Item 8, MWBE SDVOB goal plans for 2026 and 2027. And Chino Ancankwo will present this item. Chino is the Vice President, Department of Empowerment, Compliance, and Opportunity. Welcome.
Well, thank you so much. Hello, everyone. So thank you for the opportunity to present our consolidated MWBE and SDVOB goal plans for fiscal year 26-27. These plans are the foundation and framework of how we operate. They translate our mission into specific targets, and they embody the commitments we make annually to the Empire State Development, ESD, and the Office of General Services, OGS. They are also tightly aligned with HCR's core mission to build, preserve, and protect affordable housing, support home ownership, and strengthen communities across the state. These goal plans sit right at that intersection. They are about who gets to participate in building, preserving, and protecting affordable housing and the communities we serve. In my first quarter leading DECO, if you can believe it's only been 12 weeks, this is my 12th week. One, I'm about to tell you. One theme has stood out more than anything else for me: the power of intentionality. Behind every number, every projection, every contract, there is a deliberate choice someone in this agency has made. A choice that expands access, grows capacity, and opens doors for firms that have historically been left out. I want to share 4 brief examples for you because I got really excited just, over my past 12 weeks learning so much here. These examples show what intentionality looks like in practice. Because they say as much about our culture as the charts in the plan. Let me begin with work in our capital markets, where deliberate inclusion shapes the future of the industry. A few weeks ago, Mark Price walked me through how he structures his recommendations for which investment banking firms to include in the syndicates that sell our agency's bonds. He showed how he makes room for MWBEs and SDVOB firms, positions them for meaningful roles, and ensures they build the track record needed to grow in future issuances. That kind of discipline doesn't always show up on a spreadsheet, but it absolutely builds the long-term capacity in the financial marketplace. In procurement, Lisa models what intentional leadership looks like. Through my weekly meetings with her, it's like we have coaching sessions because I'm learning a lot before she departs. And through the bi-weekly team meetings between my DECO team and her procurement team, I've had firsthand view of how she approaches this work. When a program area is laser focused, as they should be, on its immediate need and maybe a little bit hesitant and unsure about where MWBEs and SDVOBs can participate in that solution, Lisa slows down that conversation. She asks clarifying questions, she deconstructs scope, and identifies opportunities to unbundle work and helps teams see pathways that may have been overlooked. This is what prevents unintentional exclusion and what turns program goals into real procurement opportunities. I had another experience recently. In a joint meeting between our DECO team and our 4% underwriting team that also underscores the same discipline. Russell shared that his team has begun initiating MWBE and SDVOB dialogue at the application stage. This is a new enhancement based on all of our conversations, so I'm very excited that he's taking that leadership and doing that. With this, he's requiring developers who are often among the most experienced in the portfolio to submit utilization document upfront. This is thoughtful leadership. It ensures expectations are clear from day one and compliance conversations begin early. And my last example is one that I hold dear. Last week at the SDVOB VetCon conference in Albany, I met Charlie. Charlie's an SDVOB vendor who has worked with HCR on multiple projects across New York City, Long Island, and parts of the Mid-Hudson region. He spoke with deep gratitude for the stability, consistency, and opportunity our agency provides. Shared how HCR has helped him grow his business and support the community. Hearing that firsthand reinforced something important to me. The decisions that we make internally ripple outward to real businesses, real families, and real communities. These stories from capital markets to procurement to underwriting and in the field are not isolated. They're part of a larger discipline I have noticed at our agency. The belief that every decision we make can open the doors for someone else. That intentionality also shows up in our numbers as well. Based on the most recent data from ESD, when we merge our HCR entities together, we rank among the top 3 entities by MWBE expenditures. Our combined MWBE spend is double that of the New York Power Authorities and surpasses DASNY's, DOH, and OGS. 3 weeks ago, I sat at the ESD forum in Albany, where ESD celebrated reaching an average statewide MWBE participation rate of 31%. And then I paused and noticed the significance of what we do. HCR had reached 35%. I do not want to discount that there is always room for improvement, But it also is important to pause and recognize that this level of participation and performance is not accidental. Our work does not just contribute to the statewide MWBE program, it helps shape it. And that's an important note. So for a moment, I want to turn to our fiscal year 26-27 goal plans that are in your packet. These goal plans outline our procurement strategies, our anticipated MWBE and SDVOB participation, our exclusions and exemptions list, and our statewide outreach and capacity building commitments. Consistent with ESD and OGS guidance, DECO does not include preliminary or in-progress data for forward year plans. For this reason, you won't see our current fiscal year 25-26 in those documents. So I wanted to highlight a few things. So development spending continues to represent over 97% of our agency's expenditures. That means our strongest opportunities remain in construction development, where DECO's oversight is critical. And, thankfully, I have Tamika leading that charge for DECO. Also, our SDVOB participation continues on an upward trend, reflecting targeted interventions and deeper engagements with SDVOB firms. I think Charlie can agree that that is happening. Our outreach footprint is also significant. Over the past calendar year, DECO has participated in more than 20 targeted MWBE and SDVOB engagements across New York City, Long Island, Mid-Hudson regions, the Capital Region, Western New York, and the Southern Tier. Trust me, I've been out to at least 5 of them already. Been to Albany twice, so it's been exciting. These touch points have included conferences, sponsorships, industry-specific panels, matchmaking sessions, live vendor clinics, and agency tabling, where we answer questions and connect firms directly to the procurement and development opportunities within our pipeline. Now let's move to areas where we want to strengthen, and then also looking at the market landscape and our partnership with ESD. As we assess both our strengths and our opportunities to deepen impact, there are a few areas where we are intentionally leaning in. First, our compliance infrastructure. Currently, we monitor performance every quarter. We work to intervene early where we see trends that concern us, and we continue to strengthen our systems so that support is targeted and accountability is clear. That kind of structure and discipline helps ensure our goals are not aspirational. They're actively managed through the life of the project. In a few months, I'm going to be very excited to tell you about our technology tool that will help us deepen this further. Second, when we're looking at the broader market landscape. As we deepen this work, we also are attentive to that. In certain regions, developers and program teams continue to encounter gaps in MWBE and SDVOB capacity. Through DECO's reviews, quarterly monitoring, and conversations with program teams, we have been able to pinpoint where these gaps are most acute. From parts of the North Country where few certified firms exist, to parts of New York City where demand outpaces available MWBEs due to scale of development here in the city. Through recent conversations with ESD, we have been elevating these regional capacity gaps and exploring ways to support pipeline development in areas where utilization has historically been lower. ESD is now actively engaging those communities. They are canvassing local firms, they are identifying uncertified firms, and they are bringing them into the certification pipeline. Over time, we expect these efforts to translate into more certified firms bidding, more competition, and stronger participation in regions that are currently lagging. This partnership allows each agency to stay in its lane, working towards a shared goal, expanding regional capacity so agencies statewide have a stronger, more reliable bench of MWBE and SDVOB firms to draw upon. This is a foundational part of strengthening the long-term MWBE and SDVOB ecosystem across the state. This work is only possible through the deep coordination between DECO, our program areas, procurement, agency operations, and our partners at ESD and OGS. We have biweekly meetings with procurement, regular touch base with program, and ongoing coaching sessions. I have regular coaching sessions with ESD. My team knows a lot, so we're regularly coordinating with them. That alignment helps ensure our policies, our deals, and our day-to-day decisions all move at the same direction. As DECO continues to grow, my vision is to build a more connected, data-informed, statewide ecosystem where developers, vendors, and program teams have the tools and guidance that they need to succeed. So before I close, I wanted to briefly acknowledge the people who make this work possible. First, the commissioner. She didn't know that this was going to happen, so she may blush. Under her direction, HCR has not only met the moment, we have helped define what state agencies can achieve in this space. In a year when Empire State Development reported an average statewide MWB participation of 31%, HCR reached 35%. That's significant. That outcome reflects leadership that drives focus, alignment, and intentionality across the agency. And I also want to thank this board. Your questions, your expectations, and your consistency have been an important part of that story. The progress we're discussing today is not accidental. It is shaped because of your priorities that you've set and the support that you've all shown. So thank you so much for that. And I also want to recognize our amazing DECO team. Their commitment from monitoring performance each quarter to supporting developers and vendors across the state strengthen our ability to build, preserve, and protect affordable housing for communities we serve. They are the bridge between policy and practice. They are the ones who translate our goals on paper into results on the ground. Their work underpins every metric in this plan. And with your approval today, we will finalize these goal plans for submission to ESD and OGS.
Thank you. Thank you. This is fantastic. That was a great presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You think? I don't know.
Questions?
I'm really shy. And
Questions for Chino before
yeah, questions for me. And I also have my team, Tamika's on the line and Veronica's here. So there's some, I'm still learning, so there's things that I know. Yeah.
Thank you for the presentation.
Oh,
I haven't been involved in this. I was doing the math, and it kind of scared me, but it's been involved from one way or another with this whole MWBE issue here in the state for over 40 years. Okay, so in the very early days of when this was being put together and obviously seeing the progress being made, just want to know for starters with the W. Okay, so the W stands for women, right?
Correct.
Right, so is that stand, which includes black women as well, and includes white women as well, right?
That is a question that I'm going to have Tamika or Veronica answer. Oh, great. And here goes Veronica.
Hi. How's everybody doing? Happy holidays. Oh, thank you. So, to answer that question, it does include women of all races and ethnicities.
Okay.
However, when we're doing our reporting, at least on the procurement side and on the debt issuance side, we mark those as minority because we recognize that we mark that utilization, that spend as minority versus women, because we recognize that it's important to see where minorities are able to participate in this space. Because we understand that there is a culture that is very much focused on women being utilized. But minorities, and I'm going to speak very frankly here, tend to take second tier. And we wanted to highlight that in this agency, we're focusing on making sure that minorities are in first tier.
And I think that's noted in the report that we did a shift. And so the numbers look a little flip-flop because the minority women are now in the minority category, distinct from years in the past. So you can see that.
So the W, for practical purposes, then would reflect solely white women, is that right?
Mostly, yes, for the ones that I could catch. Yes.
When did you do this switch?
So this was done for this particular goal plan. In the previous goal plan, during the presentation portion, we highlighted the different ethnicities that were included in that W category. So this year we said, you know what, let's highlight that we're actually using minority firms and a lot of minority women-owned firms, and we're using them, so let's highlight that utilization.
Great. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So well, just the last thing, I guess, at the moment, in terms of next iteration of what's, this is a great plan, I guess the plan going into action, when should we look to have at least another report, I guess, another update as to what progress has been made from here, from today in December?
From here until December?
From here in December till whenever we hear from you again.
You'll hear from me. Don't
Okay,
worry.
when are we looking to do that?
Also, just to clarify, so this is what Chino presented, all the numbers, is the perspective, and what was in the materials is you'll see the whole perspective 26 to 27 goal plan is what we're approving, and then she can come back and provide quarterly, but the sort of substantive voting, say, would be on that.
So that'll be like March, we're talking about March, April?
Well, let's look at what the period that the goal plan covers. The period that the goal plan covers is from April 1 to March 31. So if you want to see progress on this particular goal plan, and you want to do it quarterly, maybe a June or July update would be more appropriate.
So we're not gonna hear anything from you till June or July?
You're going to hear from me. There's going to be a lot of updates happening.
Okay.
Don't worry.
All right.
You will see me. We will be
Look forward to it.
talking.
Thank you, Veronica.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chino.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Just wanted to also mention, thank you so much for your remarks. It has been an honor to serve as the agency's inaugural chair for about a year and a half before Toys joined me as a co-chair. And I am excited that Arguero and Toys they were here. And so
there they go. They're waving in the back.
Yes. So I would like to encourage all the board members to get to know them. They are fabulous. And I also want to thank Betsy Mallow for being our executive advisor, and Karis Rasmussen, who has operated as our facilitator. Without all these people, none of the stuff that we're doing here would be possible. Thanks.
Okay, terrific. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
And thank you so much.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Well,
Now before the HFA, AHC, HTFC, SONYMA, MBBA, and TSFC governance committees and full boards, a resolution is transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the motion second previously recorded, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion is carried. The resolution is adopted.
Okay, thank you. We are going to do 2 consent items and then get back to discussion items. We're juggling a little bit today in terms of who's voting on what and who has to leave, or who's not here. So we'll do items 9 and 10 together. There's no presentation. These are consent items, and Will.
And these items are respectively before the governance committee for HFA, and then item 9 before the governance committee for HFA, SONYMA, MBBA, and TSFC. Resolutions transmitted in connection with the item. Assuming the motion second previously recorded, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried. The resolution is adopted.
Thank you. Back to the discussion items. Item 11, Land Bank Initiative Awards. Crystal Loeffler, President, Office of Community Renewal, will present this item and I think the next 9 items. So Crystal, you are up. Thank you.
Yes. Hi, big day for us. First is the Office of Community Renewal offered an open round request for applications to allow land banks to request funding as new project needs arise. This month, we're requesting approval to award just over $4 million among 3 land banks. The awards include $2 million to the Finger Lakes Land Bank serving Seneca County, $74,000 to the Chemung County Land Bank to address a small funding gap, $2 million to the Essex County Land Bank to complete several new projects. Essex County is one of the newest land banks and has been very active in successfully completing projects. There's more detail in the memo, but I'm happy to answer any questions from the members.
Thanks, Crystal. Questions? Will?
Now before the HTFC board, a resolution transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the motion second previously recorded, all in favor, please say aye.
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 The motion is carried. The resolution is adopted.
Item 12, New York Forward Amendments. Crystal.
The Department of State serves as the lead agency for the New York Forward program, which was launched as a smaller format Downtown Revitalization Initiative, or DRI. HCR participates in this program in the planning phases, and then as contracts are assigned for award, we take contracts that align with different program areas that we administer, sort of like the Main Street program or other larger affordable housing projects. We have 2 existing New York Forward contracts that require amendments. One is due to an unsuccessful DOS contract falling through. They have requested approval to reallocate funding into one of our existing contracts with the Village of Wellsville. And then the second is an amendment to an award to the Groton Historical Association. They have determined they no longer have capacity to run the award, and the village has stepped in and offered to reallocate the funding into its existing contract to deliver the project. So again, just 2 amendments to existing New York Forward contracts. Thank you for your consideration. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Questions?
One question is, a lot of these are manufactured housing replacements. Are they sort of linking up with the I mean, it seems like, I don't know, manufactured housing butts up against the cross-mod program. Are there sort of integration of thinking on the success of that program?
I'm sorry, we can't hear you here.
Oh, sorry about that. Just curious, obviously, a lot of these, the New York Forward grants are around the mobile home manufactured housing replacement, and just wasn't sure if there was any linkage up to the success of the move-in program on the cross-mod program that's been upstate at seemingly not much more perhaps than the cost of a manufactured house, but may be able to get a mortgage on it or something different.
I'm not sure that I'm following. New York Forward is more of a downtown revitalization program. It doesn't really relate to manufactured housing.
What am I looking at the wrong item?
You might be in the,
I'm in the, never mind, I'm forward a couple agenda items. Let me table that question. I apologize.
Okay, great. Sorry.
Sorry about that, Crystal.
Any other questions? Will?
Okay, now before the HTFC board, a resolution is transmitted in connection with this item, assuming the motion second previously recorded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion is carried. The resolution is adopted.
Thank you. Item 13, New York Main Street Program 2025 Consolidated Funding Application Awards. Crystal.
Thank you. Several of my remaining items for today are award recommendations for annual competitive cycles. Before I get into the specific items, I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge and highlight the work of my team in the Office of Community Renewal. You hear from me or my colleague Jessica Gabriel monthly with a lot of our open round awards, but OCR is a team of about 40 professionals that make this work happen. In addition to the skilled day-to-day project management of their existing large portfolios, between August and November, each of the program teams have an additional workload in reviewing incoming grant applications. They rate and rank the proposals to create a list of recommendations. Every year, it's a very heavy lift, but demand was particularly high this year, and we're proposing to issue more funding and more contracts than usual. This year, the team reviewed 271 grant applications, requesting more than $213 million. And based on our review, among these program areas that I'll present on, we're proposing 160 new awards and contracts offering more than $116 million in a single competitive cycle. So I want to just say thank you to the whole team for delivering all of this work and making this happen.
thank you, Crystal, to your team as well. Thank you.
So for the New York Main Street program, the first one, this is part of the state's annual consolidated funding application or CFA process. This is an annual competitive process where applicants apply through a single portal to apply for funding for more than a dozen state agencies. The program has a $4.2 million appropriation from the New York State budget, and this year we're recommending 11 awards totaling $4.2 million for consideration. The full award list is in the memo, and I'm happy to answer any questions on this one.
Terrific. Thank you. Great recognition of your team, too. Thank you. Will?
Okay, now before the HTFC board, a resolution transmitted in connection with this item, assuming the motion and second previously recorded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried. The resolution is adopted.
Thank you. Item 14, New York State Home Program Home Buyer Development Award. And Crystal.
This is one of our open run programs. We offer open run funding as home buyer development under our federal New York State Home Program funds. This activity allows non-for-profit developers to request funding to support rehab or development of up to 4 homes for sale to low and moderate income home buyers. This activity is intended to support small projects that might not be able to access our larger development sources. This month, we're requesting board approval to award up to $250,000 in home funds and enter into an agreement with the Rochester Housing Development Corporation to rehab a vacant 3-bedroom home in the city of Rochester. The home will be sold to an income-eligible household at or below 80% area median income. The memo provides more budget detail, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Questions? Will?
Okay, note for the record that Ms. Young-Watkins has recused herself from this vote. Now before the HTFC board is a resolution transmitted in connection with the item, assuming the motion second previously recorded. All in favor, please say aye.
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 The motion is carried. The resolution is adopted.
Thank you. Item 15, New York State Home Program 2025 Housing Awards. Crystal.
This is one of the annual competitive funding rounds. In this round, we offer funding to municipalities and non-for-profits throughout the state. The funds can be used to operate local grant programs that support owner-occupied rehab, down payment assistance, manufactured housing replacement, and tenant-based rental assistance. This year, we are advancing recommendations to award over $29 million in New York State Home Program funds for 35 new awards. Just highlight, this is a pretty big jump. We usually award 10 to 15 in home funds in the annual competitive cycle, so 29 is a large increase based on significant demand. So we're requesting board approval to award the funds and enter into grant agreements with the awardees to support the proposed housing activities. The full list is in the memo, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
This is where the question exists. Sorry, I was in the wrong bookmark. Yeah, are you guys coordinating on obviously like the demand that's being created through the move-in program for some, and at least coordinating with some of these organizations so that they have access to sort of the pipeline generation that the agency is already doing on the cross-mod product as well?
I think generally, yes, right? We're still, maybe Dina will want to chime in, but we have certainly a lot of lessons learned from the initial cross-mod pilot that was conducted leading up to the Move-In New York program. So we're certainly sharing all of those lessons learned with our practitioners of any manufactured housing activities, but we're still a little bit early in the Move-In New York process to, connect all of the program areas. But I think that the demand generated by Move-In New York will bring the vendors into town basically and increase the capacity for delivering units cheaply and quickly in the state.
Yeah, that's it. This is like a huge this is just another pipeline of demand that could feed into that ultimately, but that was it.
Great, thank you. Will?
And now before the HTFC board, a resolution is transmitted in connection with this item, assuming the motion second previously reported. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion is carried. The resolution adopted.
Thank you. Item 16, New York State CDBG Program Open Round Awards. Crystal.
We have traditionally offered just economic development activity funding in our CDBG open round, but this year we have expanded the open round to include public facility, imminent threat, and community planning funding. We're hopeful that this helps us respond in a more agile way to needs in eligible CDBG communities. This month, we're requesting approval to award 8 community planning applications and 3 economic development applications. The community planning projects are focused on technical assistance and pre-development studies to prepare communities for future CDBG eligible activities. The 8 awards include water system surveys to prepare for large-scale infrastructure investments or housing condition surveys to secure objective measures for documenting demand for later housing rehab programs. And this month's economic development awards include assistance to a rock climbing gym in Tonawanda and additional microenterprise funding in the city of Oneonta and from Madison County. There's more details in attached briefing sheets for each of these, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Crystal. Will?
Now before the HTFC board, a resolution is transmitted in connection with this item, assuming the motion second previously recorded. All in favor, please say aye.
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 The motion is carried. The resolution is adopted.
Thank you. Item 17, New York State CDBG Program 2025 Housing Awards. Crystal.
We make a portion of our CDBG funding allocation available annually for locally administered housing activities. Again, these are offered through a competitive annual round to eligible units of local government. And for CDBG housing, we offer owner-occupied housing rehab and an activity we called infrastructure and supportive housing, which is specifically things like individual well and septic programs or infrastructure specific to manufactured home parks. This month, we're requesting board approval to award over $22 million and enter into grant agreements with 35 awardees. The full list of awardees and details on the projects are included on the memo, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Great, thank you. Well,
now before the HTFC board, a resolution is transmitted in connection with this item, assuming the motion second previously recorded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The resolution, the motion is carried. The resolution is adopted.
Thank you. Item 18, New York State CDBG Program 2025 CFA Awards. Crystal.
HCR also participates in the state's consolidated funding application or CFA process with a portion of its CDBG funding. Typically, we make 20 to 25 million available in the CFA for public infrastructure activities. This year, however, we received 116 million in funding requests under this activity. I'll just highlight that this is a huge increase from prior years. I think we received 58 million last year and below 30 the year before. So this is a very significant uptick. Given this very significant demand, we are seeking board approval to award over 43 million to 24 CDBG public infrastructure projects. This is a critical source of funding to help communities address failing and aging water and sewer infrastructure and to make improvements to better serve their residents. So the full award list and details are included in the memo, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Great, thank you. Well.
Now before the HTFC board are resolutions transmitted in connection with this item, assuming the motion seconds previously recorded. All in favor, please say aye.
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 The motion is carried. The resolution is adopted.
Thank you. Item 19, State Housing Grant Program Awards, and for the last time, Crystal.
We make funding available annually under a group of programs that we refer to as the state housing grant programs. These include Access to Home for Heroes, and Access to Home for Medicaid members, which provide grants to support accessibility modifications, the Mobile and Manufactured Home Replacement Program, and the Restore Program, which provides grants to assist elderly homeowners with emergency repairs. This year, we're requesting board approval to award just over 16 million among these 5 programs and enter into 55 grant agreements with the identified awardees. These are some of our smallest grants, but some very high impact grants to homeowners and residents in need. So, details and the full list of awardees are available in the memo, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Sure. Thank you.
Steve, I have one.
Yeah, go ahead.
One question, or it's an observation, really, and this is parochial, I'll admit. But
I'm sorry, we can't hear. We don't have a mic.
Crystal, I said I have an observation, which is rather parochial. I'm a Long Island boy, and I noticed in all.
I'm sorry, we still can't hear.
That's right, James.
I said I'm going to ask you a parochial question as a Long Island resident. I noticed that in this resolution and several of the previous resolutions, that neither Long Island nor Westchester are mentioned at all. New York City, I think, is mentioned a couple of times. Is there a reason for that?
I think I'd have to go program by program to evaluate, but we do typically, look at regional distribution as part of our scoring and final review. I think demand is typically lower from New York City and Westchester County among some of our programs. I'll highlight that a lot of the items that I reviewed today are CDBG funding for the state, where New York City and most of Long Island is not eligible for that funding. So it's kind of a mixed answer depending on which program we're referring
So for
to.
the CDBG, Long Island, New York City, large, and Crystal, correct me, they get their own allocation. So
Well, except the small cities.
So, so we get, the CDBG we get is for everywhere, but if all the places that don't get their own, so that's why you don't see Nassau and Suffolk applying for our CDBG, because they have their own. You would see a lot of small localities. Not the same for Access to Home. Those, which are state programs, they can apply for, but on the federal side, if they get their own CDBG, then our job is to award in places that don't get it already from the feds.
And is it Department of State that administers the small cities program, is it?
No, well, go ahead, Crystal.
Yes, so our CDBG program used to be referred to as the Small Cities Program or the Governor's Office for Small Cities. So it's the same funding, but like the commissioner said, New York City and Long Island and just even Westchester County, more urban counties receive their own allocations directly. So they're not eligible to apply for our small cities funding.
I was referring to the competitive small cities program.
I don't know that one. I don't think that's a state program or a federal?
It's a federal program. It's a sub. Maybe it doesn't exist anymore. When I had this job years ago, and Greenport was a successful competitive small cities community, and it was a subset of the larger program. If you weren't a participant in the county consortium, then you could apply as a small city on a competitive basis. And anyway, it's. Thank you.
You normally would expect to see when we're doing like water and sewer that Long Island
Exactly.
would take a flyer,
Right.
but they are not for the CDBG because they can't because they already get their own allocation.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you, Crystal, for all your work. Well,
I'll note for the record that Ms. Young Watkins has recused herself from this vote. Now before the HTFC board, our resolution is transmitted in connection with the item. Assuming the motion second previously recorded, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried. The resolution is adopted.
Thank you. Item 20, Flanagan Field Home ARP, City of Norwich, Shenango County. And Madeline Fletcher, Vice President, Small and Mid-Sized Development, will present this item. Madeline.
Hi, everybody. Today, I'm presenting a project called Flanagan Field, which is proposed by Greater Opportunities for Groom and Shenango. They're proposing to use up to $8 million of New York State Home American Rescue Plan funding for the creation of 20 new units of supportive housing in the city of Norwich, which is in Shenango County in the southern tier. I'll go quickly over the home art program since we don't have that many projects that come to the board, but the New York State home art program is federally funded. It is allocated to the state from the Department of Housing and Urban Development. The main purpose of the program is to reduce homelessness and increase housing stability by supporting housing units that are specifically for qualified populations. That includes people who are homeless, at risk of homelessness, fleers of domestic violence, extremely low income persons, and sort of other very specifically defined populations. Most of the funding that has been allocated to the agency is being invested in the creation of new permanent supportive housing units, though the program also does have funding for non-congregate shelter, supportive services, and capacity building for nonprofits who are serving QPs. A unique feature of this program is that it offers a much higher per unit capital investment opportunity than most of our programs. Because the populations that we serve are extremely income restrained, this program is designed to really invest heavily so that there's no need for these projects to support debt. And so rents can be super low to meet folks where they are. The rents that sort of these populations command can really often still require support from sources like ESHI over the long term. So through this program, we are offering up to $400,000 per unit to offset the cost of development. This project in particular, Flanagan Field, proposes to use $8 million of home art funds alongside $1 million that's been secured from Shenango County's infrastructure fund program. And that will create 20 new permanent supportive units, which will include 1, 2, 3, and 4 bedroom units. So it'll accommodate larger households as well, to enhance the support offered on the development side in looking at operation and support of residents. Greater Ops has also secured funding from the New York State Supportive Housing Program, New York State Department of State Community Services Block Grant, and as well as federal Shelter Plus Care funds. Greater Ops was designated the developer for the site by the Norwich City School District through an RFP in July of 2025, and they anticipate all local approvals in place by spring of 2026, which will coincide with our planned closing schedule, NEPA review, all of our due diligence as well. This will be the second home art project undertaken by Greater Ops, and the fourth small-scale development project that I've worked on with them in some of my other programs as well. They've been doing great work with these smaller scale supportive projects, and I'm happy to recommend it for funding.
Terrific. Thank you, Madeline. Questions? Well,
now before the HTFC board, a resolution is transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the motion second previously recorded, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion is carried. The resolution is adopted.
okay, thank you. It's 2:00. We've got 6 action items and all of our consent items to do in the next 30 minutes before we lose our quorum. So I'd like to request, if there are questions that go to whether or not you would approve a matter, please ask them. If there are other questions that can be submitted after the fact and answered sort of in the ordinary course, let's do that as well, just so we can move things along. Thank you. Item 21, All-Electric Multifamily Program Awards. Sunitha Sarvaswaran is going to present this item. Thank you, Sunitha.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Okay, I will keep this pretty brief.
So as part of HCR's deployment of the $250 million Climate Friendly Homes Fund, HCR has released a notice of funding availability in October of 2025 in order to increase program uptake and achieve our goal to electrify 10,000 units. HCR Sustainability is asking authorization to enter into contract with 3 organizations that were selected following a competitive scoring process to administer $5 million for their respective regions. The Association of Energy Affordability for the Capital and Downstate regions, and the Wayne County Action Program for the Western region in order to serve the whole state. I'm happy to take any questions.
Questions? No?
Now before the HTFC board, a resolution is transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the motion second previously recorded, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion is carried. The resolution is adopted.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Item 22, local administrators for the New York State Housing Access Voucher Program Pilot. Daniel Byer, Assistant Commissioner, Vice President for Rental Assistance, will present this item. Daniel?
Good afternoon, everybody. So as you may remember, the legislature authorized a new state-funded voucher program as a companion to the federal voucher program that we currently run. It was approved as part of last year's state budget, or this year's, rather, and it came with a statutory deadline that we begin issuing vouchers by March 1st of 2026. So in order to meet that deadline, we need to have staff and local administrators in place to begin accepting applications, getting trained on the new program, and learning the new software. So we did a rather expedited procurement in partnership with the agency's procurement office. And I want to thank Lisa and her team for helping get that taken care of on a very expedited timeline, along with our legal department, finance department, and now DECA. We've selected 7 local administrators from the existing pool of local administrators who administer federal vouchers. These 7 have agreed to perform the administrative duties, including inspections and case management for the state voucher program at an agreed upon price. The counties they will serve are still being negotiated, but it is essential that we get approval this month so that we can execute contracts by the end of the month and start training and getting the LAs ready for the March 1st deadline. So we're seeking approval to allocate up to $7.6 million over a 4-year period. This is a 4-year pilot program to pay the local administrators. Unfortunately, because it's a new voucher program, there are startup expenses that the LAs will experience that will require us to front load those contracts a bit. So we are also asking for permission to use $1 million in HTFC funds in addition to the funds we're receiving as part of the state allocation so that we can help those LAs get started. We anticipate being able to recover some or all of that money over the 4-year period, but it's necessary to ensure success that we front a little bit of funds so the LAs can be successful.
So we're approving both the program funds for the pilot and also the additional startup costs?
Correct.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
And authorization to enter into the contracts with the LAs.
Got it. Okay, thank you, Daniel. Questions? Will?
Now before the HTFC board, a resolution is transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the motion and second previously recorded, all in favor, please say aye.
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 The motion is carried. The resolution is adopted.
Thank you. Item 23, expansion of reserve replenishment program pilot. Robert Franco Taylor, Vice President, Strategic Preservation Initiatives, will present the item. Robert?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So I'm presenting for approval an expansion of the reserve replenishment program. This is a pilot initially approved in April of this year with $5 million of HTFC funding. Just a brief background on the program. It was intended to be a light touch intervention in a project's kind of mid-financing cycle, so projects that are kind of in the middle of the regulatory terms. It was designated for HTFC and DHCR portfolio projects only and targeted towards nonprofit sponsors and buildings or projects with fewer than 100 units. Demand for the program has been robust. We've received 272 applications totaling nearly 36 million in total funding. The average request was about 113,000 in reserve replenishment funding, and the average unit count in these projects was 42. So given the demand, we are proposing to expand not only the funding on the HTFC side with an additional 15 million in HTFC recycled funds, but we would also propose to expand eligibility to the HFA portfolio with $10 million in corporate resources. So that's essentially it. I'll stop there, and if there are any questions or concerns, I'm happy to address them. We're prioritizing nonprofit sponsors, but for-profit sponsors are eligible for funding. Yes, correct. I would make one caveat. So we're eliminating the 100 unit, the sub 100 unit target, just given the, HFA properties tend to be much larger than the HTFC and DHCR properties.
Are we doing anything to treat the disease as opposed to the symptoms? In terms of obviously they're coming to replenish reserve for a reason. Are we targeting and saying what else is wrong with these buildings that they're having? This is where they're at.
This program is intended to be light touch. The goal is to be, kind of in there within 3 to 6 months of award. So, minimal, there's financial operations review, there's compliance review, and then we get to legal documents. One advantage is that we actually do get to, we enjoy a more robust kind of review of a project's financials as they come in for funding. And so to the extent that we can work with a lender in the course of getting their approval for this grant funding to put a property on better financial footing, we're able to do so. But in terms of the program design, it's really kind of a light touch, just getting properties reserve funding so that they can address unforeseen capital issues or unforeseen expenses.
Okay, now before the HFA and HTFC boards, a resolution is transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the motion second previously recorded, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion is carried. The resolution is adopted.
Thank you. Item 24, Fulton Building 1 Development, City of New York, New York County. Patrick Love, Vice President, Chief of Staff, Multifamily Finance and Development, will present this item. Patrick?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Fantastic. I'll be presenting on the Fulton Houses project. This is a RAD conversion of an existing public housing development in the Chelsea neighborhood of Manhattan. This is a New York City implementation of a federal RAD program. They call it PACT, Permanent Affordability Commitment Together. By way of background, in 2021, a resident review committee selected Essence Development and related companies to rehabilitate the Fulton Elliott Chelsea properties through the PACT program. In 2022, condition assessments revealed significantly more challenging and costly conditions than were originally anticipated. And then in 2023, after a resident vote, NYCHA resident leaders and the PACT partner announced new plans to rebuild both campuses over several phases. So this project is the first phase of a master development agreement that was entered between NYCHA and the PACT partner in the fall of 2024. And this project includes a rebuild of an existing building owned by NYCHA to create a new 217-unit building. Residents will then relocate into that new building, and then subsequent rebuilding phases will occur. This is similar to other public housing rebuilds that the state HCR has successfully implemented in partnership with other housing authorities across the state, including Yonkers, Syracuse, White Plains, Buffalo, and New Rochelle, to name a few. The structure of this transaction is a bit unique. This is a non-volume cap transaction. There's no LIHTC involved. The sources of the transaction are that there will be HDC financed bonds. So this is not a bond finance project by us that are recycled and recycled tax exempt and taxable bonds, developer equity, interim income, and the loan that's been billed by HDC is the subordinate market rate revolving term loan, or the SMART loan. So our participation here is pretty discreet. by way of HCR purchasing a participatory stake within that SMART loan, similar to how we would purchase a participatory stake in other participation loan programs that we have. So the SMART loan will earn an interest of 8% and will be advanced during the construction period and then will remain in the project as a permanent loan with a term of 40 years. The SMART loan will then be paid back through 50% of the project's cash flow and any proceeds from future refinancings. After the replacement of the housing is complete, there will be excess land and development rights that are unlocked on the property. So as NYCHA incrementally sells those development rights, they'll be obligated to use those proceeds to purchase the SMART loan, which pays HDC as well as the state back, and then gives NYCHA those rights to 50% of the cash flow. The project's funding from us will come from the governor's capital commitment to New York City as part of the citywide City of Yes citywide rezoning. All of the residents in the Fulton building have been moved to other buildings except for one unit, and NYCHA is currently working with that household to move them before closing. We're super excited here to partner with NYCHA, the city, the development team, and residents of this building to get this historic project started. Thank you, and happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Thanks, Patrick. Questions? Thank you. Will?
Okay, now before the HFA board, resolutions transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the motion second previously recorded, all in favor, please say aye.
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 The motion is carried. The resolution is adopted.
Thank you. Okay, so item 25 is being pulled. I'm going to skip 26 and 27. We'll come back to them. And we're going to do the 9 consent items next, starting with item 28. It's items 28 through 36. We'll do them together. There's no presentation on any of those consent items. Will?
Okay, now before the respective boards identified on the agenda are the consent items identified by the chairman. Resolutions transmitted in connection with those items, assuming the motions and seconds previously recorded. All in favor, please say aye.
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 The motion carried. The resolutions are adopted.
Great, thank you. Now we'll go back to item 26, Locust Hill, Town of Rhinebeck, Dutchess County, and Michael Friedman, Senior Vice President, Mortgage Insurance Fund, will present this item. Michael?
This comprises 75% insurance of a $6,250,000 CPC loan, and it has 75% insurance rather than 100% insurance because it will not be sold to the Common Retirement Fund. It comprises the construction of 80 all low-income units, of which the vast majority, almost 80%, are 2 or 3 bedroom. It's highly subsidized. There's a $2.9 million HTF subordinate mortgage. There's $2 million in Dutchess County funds. There's $14.8 million in federal low-income tax credits and $4.2 million in state low-income tax credits. It's a joint venture between Kearney Realty and Development and the New York City Housing Partnership. And the Kearneys are very well regarded, prolific developers in the Hudson Valley. And this will be the 17th loan with an aggregate loan amount of $79 million that we have insured for projects by Kearney Realty. The insured loan amount is $78,000 per unit, which equals 16% of the project's total development cost of $478,000 per unit. And the project will break even with a 12% pro forma vacancy loss or a 12% increase in operating expenses. Thank you.
Thanks, Michael. Questions?
Yes, it is. Yeah, particularly considering that they're 2 and 3 bedroom units.
Okay, this is before the Mortgage Insurance Committee only. Also note for the record, the chairman has recused himself from this vote. Now before that committee, a resolution is transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the motion is second previously recorded, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion is adopted. Motion is carried. The resolution is adopted.
Thank you. Item 27, West Tower, City of New York, Bronx County. Mike.
So this comprises 50% insurance of a $30,895,000 New York City Housing Development Corporation loan for the construction of 266 all low-income units, including 160 supportive units and 105 low-income units. And this conversely is predominantly studio units and one bedrooms. It's also very heavily subsidized. There's $65.7 million in New York City HTFC sub-debt. There's $75.6 million in federal low-income housing tax credits. And there will be $1.6 million in annual ESHI rent subsidy for the 80 of the 160 supportive units from OMH, and $1.8 million a year in New York City 1515 rent subsidy. It is an all-electric project built to passive house standards. It's being developed by the Institute for Community Living, which has been in business since 1986 and operates 14 community residences and 3 traditional housing shelters, and by Gilbane, a very substantial real estate developer with more than 25,000 units of housing completed. The insured loan amount is $116,000 per unit, which equals 16% of the project's total development cost of $723,500 per unit. The project will break even with an 11% pro forma vacancy loss or an 11% increase in operating expenses. Thank you.
Just curious, where exactly is this project located? I'm only asking because I live in the Bronx.
So it's 280 East 161st Street. 280 East 161st.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great. Thank you. Anything else? Well,
Okay, now before the Sunny May Mortgage Insurance Committee and the Sunny May Board, a resolution is transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the motion second previously recorded, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion is carried. The resolution is adopted.
Thank you. Okay, now, we've done all the consent items, so skipping ahead to item 37, artificial intelligence update. Tom Miller, Vice President, Chief Information Officer, and Betsy Mallow, Executive Deputy Commissioner and Chief Operating Officer, will present this item. Thank you both.
Good afternoon. So we're going to present, there's been a number of questions and comments around AI over the last few board meetings, and so we put together a presentation to kind of talk about it generally and give a little bit of, provide a little bit of information about what we're doing with it specifically. So if we jump to the next slide. So we'll talk a little bit about what is it and what its capabilities are. Before I go any further, I know we're tight on time. Is it interesting to sort of talk about it generally, or are we more interested in sort of jumping to what we're doing specifically at HCR?
We're okay on time now.
We're good? Okay, sorry.
I think we got through what we needed to for voting.
Perfect. So a little bit.
They may still want to answer your questions. Time or not, do you want to listen?
A little bit of background on AI generally. Some information about what other governments, specifically the federal government, is doing with it these days, and then a bit on some of the things that we're doing with it now and have plans to do in the future. So if we jump to the next slide. So I guess I should probably start by making it clear that I am by no means an AI expert. Frankly, I'm not convinced that anyone is an AI expert. AI is quite large. It means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. I think sometimes it's referred to as if it is a single thing, and the reality is AI is lots of things depending on how it's used and the way it works. But at its essence, what it is it's really machines doing things that we historically have thought of only people could do. Things like pattern recognition, problem solving, and learning from the input or the feedback that it gets. And essentially that's what it is. And there's a number of sort of components to it that allows it to work like that. And if we jump to the next slide. So these four components really make up the essence of, at a high level, of what AI is. Natural language processing allows AI to understand, interpret, and generate human language. Computer vision or machine learning allows the ability to recognize patterns in text or images, understand what it's looking at, and predict what should come next. In the case of images, it's been described to me that it'll analyze an image and decide, like, literally what the next pixel in that image should be, and it repeats that process very fast and generates an image that kind of magically makes sense or matches what you asked for. Where did I leave off? Computer vision or machine learning. Oh, no, sorry, that's one I just did. Generative AI uses those two things, uses the machine learning to create new original content, like text or images or videos or music. This is, for anyone who's sort of experimented with ChatGPT, you ask it a question or you ask it to draft something for you, and it drafts what you asked for. And then finally, agentic AI is sort of the combination of those three things that can really act independently. This is oftentimes when we interact with chatbots on websites. That's sort of an example of what agentic AI is. It acts like an agent. It acts like a human agent. It takes in the input and gives you back feedback. It understands context and answers your questions in again, sort of a human language way. So at a very high level, that sort of summarizes what artificial intelligence is. That all sounds great. If we jump to the next slide, what are the risks of AI with all that in mind? And I guess the easiest way to say it is that the AI models that do all of that work are trained on data, and whatever that source of data may be. It could be the general internet. And as we probably all know or are aware, not all data is good or even accurate. So a good example, and someone told me this story, this is a real story. Someone asked, probably ChatGPT, how to make the creamiest mac and cheese. And ChatGPT literally came back with add Elmer's glue to your mac and cheese, right? And the reason is that it found a blog post from a food photographer who added Elmer's glue to her mac and cheese to make it look creamy for a picture. So this is where, like, that's just a sort of a good example of some of the risks of AI. I would say at this point, it does a pretty good job of understanding context, but it is by no means perfect. And as we all know, the internet is full of information that is biased, not accurate, and all those sorts of things. So the over-reliance of it is something that we need to take quite seriously. Next slide. So these are some statistics from a study we found on the federal government's use of AI. 46% of federal AI use cases are for internal efficiency. And by that, I mean things like helping with HR issues, procurement issues, finance issues, end user productivity, helping digest large amounts of information and summarizing it so that you only have to read the summary version, helping you write correspondence are sort of the examples of the use cases that are being used in the federal government. In most cases, any citizen-facing AI is still in very early stages and being implemented quite cautiously.
Did you use AI to find the stat?
I-
Just kidding. Keep going. Next slide, please.
Next slide, please. I use my authority as a manager. So here's a few examples of different federal government departments. Department of Labor using it to answer common procurement questions. The Patent Office searching for patent applications, and the Veterans Affairs detecting fraudulent deposit changes, direct deposit changes. So some examples of how AI is being used in the federal government. Next slide, please. So New York State has started to look into and adopt AI. Our ITS department has drafted a policy for all of New York State, which HCR has sort of adopted. And essentially, the policy, I won't go through it. We can probably share the policy with you if you're interested. But essentially, the policy does a few things. It actually encourages innovation, right? So it actually encourages the use of AI to improve the capabilities of the agencies. But it does it in a way, or it defines it in a way that tries to ensure fairness and manage the risk associated with the implementation of that AI. Next slide. And here's just some examples of what the policy says are acceptable use cases and what are not acceptable use cases. If we focus on the unacceptable ones, letting it make decisions without any sort of oversight, not acceptable. Obviously, things like using it to generate content with the intent to deceive people, not a great idea. And again, any sort of automatic taking of action without human oversight, not acceptable use cases for AI across the state. So next slide, please. So what does all that mean? AI is here, and it's something that is evolving rapidly and something that we want to sort of not necessarily stay in front of, but stay up with in terms of where it's going and how we can use it to improve our capabilities. As we sort of talked about, the governance and the ethical use of it needs to be actively managed. Humans, as part of that, remain essential components of, which is probably a good thing, remain essential in the processing of it. And then, didn't really spell it out this way, but our intent, and really the intent of a lot of people that are using it, is to start with sort of smaller pilot type projects.
Which is what the state broadly is encouraging to, what the ITS is encouraging. And we'll hear more about that in a minute.
So if we go to the next slide.
Just a quick question.
Yes, sir.
The last slide. When you say humans remain essential, that's because humans say so. And that's, I mean, yeah, I guess that has to be the case, because clearly these machines could just say, we really don't need you guys anymore, we'll just go to work.
Well, it's not the Matrix, right? The machines they get put to work by humans. But the point of humans remain essential is more not about initiating the AI, it's more about validating the results of the AI before it's used, especially before it's used to impact our citizens.
At this point.
Okay, I guess that was my point, yeah, but okay. Fine. Thank you.
So in terms of what we're doing with it, we currently have 2 pilots going on right now in conjunction with ITS and the New York State Chamber, piloting 2 AI products that both happen to be Google products. One is called Notebook LM. The other is an ITS developed product called AI Pro, which is actually powered by Google Gemini, which is another AI product produced by Google. Notebook LM, just a little bit of background. Notebook LM is really more of a research assistance tool. It helps, again, it helps with that summarizing large documents, so you only have to read the sort of summarized.
It doesn't share your analysis with an external facing large language model, right? Isn't that what's?
Notebook LM does not. That's all self-contained within you. You tell it what data you want it to access, and then it gives you answers just based on what you gave it. Unlike Google Gemini, which is really more like a ChatGPT product, which is using your information to train its models, and its models are based on data that come from, I don't even think we really know. We have over 200 HCR employees participating in the combination of these pilots. And really, I would say both of these products and both of the pilots are primarily focused on enhancing user productivity. Again, that idea of summarizing large documents, helping write content or write correspondence more quickly, that sort of user productivity.
And participating in the pilots effectively means there's some training that ITS is providing, and then it's the opportunity to play, for lack of a better word, and see how to incorporate these tools into daily work, and then some feedback to see what's working or what's helping.
Next slide, please. The second activity we have going on currently is with our Salesforce implementation. We are in the process of developing a Salesforce chatbot to help end users, applicants, citizens of the state answer how-to questions related to searching for affordable housing as part of our new housing search product that we just deployed earlier this year. So there'll be a chatbot on that website. Users can ask, how do I apply for this property? What properties are available in Dutchess County, New York? What two-bedroom properties are available in Dutchess County, New York? Those sorts of questions. We hope to have this chatbot deployed early in 2026. And again, one of the benefits of it is that the AI agents work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and helps alleviate the need for dedicated call center representatives to field these calls and questions. Next slide, please. And the last AI initiative we have that we're currently in the planning stage for is SAP's AI agent, which is called Joule. And we have some pretty high confidence that this AI agent will help us with the electronic bank reconciliation process that our finance team goes through. Given all the programs that we support and all the money that moves around, they deal with, it's thousands of bank transactions a day. And reconciling them to the books is a time-consuming, laborious effort. And so we have pretty high confidence that
Trying really hard to be politic. Come on.
with AI, we can really streamline and automate a lot of that activity.
Yeah.
Next slide. That's really it. Any questions or thoughts or comments? Yes, sir.
I mean, obvious, I don't know if it's obvious, but it seems to me that as this progresses, we'll have less need for as many people working at SONYMA or any place that adopts this activity. Is that just something that can't be helped? Or?
Well, that's a common perception that is, I think, questioned everywhere, and it's difficult to predict that future. Everyone, even the AI sort of experts or people that are more AI experts than me, will often say it doesn't replace people. It may shift some of the work, and it may shift the work and how some of the work is done by people. but most people that I hear talk about it these days say that it's not going to eliminate people. Now, again, we're trying to predict the future here, which is impossible, but that's the message that I hear.
But I think like any advancement, right? Particularly technological advancement, we're gonna see, and we would never let people sit around twiddling their thumbs. So either there's either people are working 125% of their time and now they can work 100, or there's something, or this relieves them from one task, as Tom said, but allows them to focus on another, or we'll see. At this point, we're not at a point where it's having any sort of impact that would make HR decisions.
But to that point, I mean, you mentioned, for example, the use of AI to reconcile lots and lots of records.
Yeah.
I mean, are there other examples like that, or is that something that perhaps is in development that you'll come back and share with us? That where there might be some laborious task. I'm thinking about like the application process. You get hundreds of applications, and sort of the standardization for comparative purposes and point scoring. Is there work that could be done to supplement the staff evaluation of an application and really arm them with more tools and to summarize, the location or how many deals we've done in a certain area, or how many people will benefit from the additional units that we're providing, or something like that in terms of need and demand analysis and supply analysis, for the market.
So I would say, sorry, did you want to?
I was going to answer the question, but you can answer it.
Well, let's both answer it. I would say you would not be surprised to know there are plenty of laborious tasks that happen across the agency. What's that? No, yeah, just as is true anywhere, right? And so one of the things for those who are piloting, like one of the exercises is sort of just sit through your week and like, what are the things that you think are, taking time without taking tremendous amounts of like mental, like discretion or skill, right? I have thought less because it's not my world on the application side, but a sort of similar structure is on the procurement side, right? And so Lisa and I have been talking, and Lisa's team has been, I've sort of charged them with thinking like, what are ways, right? We have to issue huge RFPs. We have to then score, massive. Now, again, it would never replace the end-to-end life cycle or human discretion, but could it help? I'm sure. So we're trying to figure those things out over the course, of this upcoming year, and as we have more access to tools.
And HFA and the other agencies work within kind of like the national structure for like NCSHA. Are you in touch with your colleagues across the country to see what they're doing, how they're benefiting from AI, and maybe what we can learn from each other in terms of what to use?
Yeah, we participate. There's some user groups and work groups, and there are some aspects of those work groups that are technology focused, and we participate in those and share ideas and learn from what other states and what other agencies are doing.
That's great.
I think I agree with the Betsy Betsy answer gave, with the answer Betsy gave, and I would just add to it. I think our participation in these pilots and our using the product will really help us kind of learn the art of what's possible. And I think at that point, then that's when we'll start to say, geez, I could do this to solve this really repetitive task, right? So I think there's a learning aspect to it that precedes, hey, how can we use AI to be more efficient? And I think we're going through that right now.
And we're open to hear, like, you all are in the world. Well, you're in the world. You're to the extent that there are ideas that you have heard or that you are yourself using AI for, right? I mean, we are not going to generate all these answers here for sure, right? Which is why it's great to be part of these pilots. It's great to be part of the NCSHA working groups. But please, if there are things that you hear of that are cool, they may or may not make sense, but we'd love to hear them. Articles you're reading, those types of things.
And would you anticipate maybe coming back to the board for an update as you go through your pilot?
Happily, sure.
Yeah, I think that would be great.
One question is kind of linking up many things I heard today as an application for AI, and it comes back to sort of the audit of asset management. We have the reserve program, the emergency reserve program. We know that there's sort of crisis when it comes to sort of operating budgets, and we know that we're taking in a lot of information, we're applying for those reserves. Seems like a lot of stuff you're focused on is qualitative as opposed to quantitative. Do you think there's a way to sort of be thinking about a pilot around looking at operating budgets, looking at changes in operating budgets, looking at changes in sort of why people are coming in for reserves, taking this opportunity to digest information and trends like, oh my gosh, this person is paying out, mold remediation on a consistent basis. Oh my gosh, maybe this is a roof replacement time as an interjection measure, and start thinking about coming back to ways that we can provide support to asset management, but also support to all the, there's so much data around when it comes to the existing portfolio. How could we use it as a tool to enhance decision-making and frankly, think about preventative finance or preventative capital as a means to avoid deterioration of buildings over time or changes in situations on the physical conditions as well.
So I think both of us are smart enough not to commit another team to doing something. But great idea and the types of things that we should all be talking about, and I'll minimally commit to going back to that team and talking about it.
Well, just to your point, of all the things that I saw in the presentation, the thing that said we'll probably start doing this next week was the 24/7 Q&A for people calling in at 2 a.m. wanting to know something about mortgage pricing or something like that. And I guess I assume just from what you said that somebody human at the end of that next morning would at least check out their responses as opposed to not, right? Somebody would have to.
There's quality control on what the responses are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you want to?
But not as many people.
But not as many people as it took to answer the question to begin with?
Right. No, you just have the machine doing that, and then somebody would have to check it out, I guess. Hopefully.
Correct.
But, okay.
And that is actually something that we're in the process of working with our Salesforce partner on implementing. And in that situation, since we had a dedicated call center, and if those, assuming that, as you said, that reduces the amount of staff needed for the dedicated call center, there are other ways to deploy that staff to enhance the product, or eventually not have that as part of the contract.
James, I think what you are talking about, I think is a great idea. I think that's a good example of where it's only ever going to be as good as the data that is fed.
Totally.
And I think there's probably a cynical view that the quality of data to do that isn't where it needs to be to make that worthwhile right now.
Yeah.
Oh. I'm okay. My balance is not as good as it used to be. I'm okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wasn't sure about ProLink's AI capabilities in terms of we're already putting the kind of data in there. So
that's one that we're looking at. So we just looked at, two sort of generic ones in NotebookLM and Gemini, but two specific ones were Salesforce's and SAP's. ProLink's AI capabilities is also something that we're starting to take a look at.
Just because that's where we're already using it, but I'm if it can take the burden off of asset management, that would be amazing to be flagging things for them as well. Yeah. Not that it's solving it, but at least flagging changes in budgets and the ability to take in more regularly data from buildings so that we can more actively monitor and not have to worry about oh my God, this just means another input that we need to put in, but really something to be okay, great. It's all good until there's actually a change. So.
Right, so for example, if there was the ability to use AI to look for trends and, where humans have concluded that, 5 aspects of something, is going to lead to a default or something like that, that you could begin to use it to evaluate data. And as you say, for flagging items, to the extent that you have data for operations or for tenant, experiences, and then, it would lead to a shorter checklist or a sooner checklist to evaluate kind of how we're doing and evaluating a property that might be kind of.
Yeah, that's why I thought like the pilot program that Robert announced, or expanding of the reserve program is like, oh my gosh, like these are people that are clearly coming to us because there is a challenge on the reserve side. Why is it that they are, like, what has changed in their operations over the course of the last 5 years that would say, all right, and then for.
True, but we know the answer to that, right? We know people aren't paying their rent, and we know expenses are going up wildly. It isn't necessary, and that is like industry-wide, so just I would say on that, right?
No, but
But I agree that on the, I mean, remember, we're a little like the factory, right? So we get audited annual financials. We're not getting monthly real time. That's, I think, what you're talking about. I suspect, but I don't know if you folks might know, like at the industry level, I'm sure the property managers and the owners are all looking to AI to do that because they're obviously in like the day-to-day, and we're like, so
And it's a question of whether like we are taking in annuals, but if they're using a software that could be hooked up to ProLink in a way to take in data more regularly that we don't have to deal with.
They being our owners? Who's they?
They're building whatever asset management software some of these folks, the operators are using in a way to sort of tech and then sort of overlay our management as a
So I just got a thumbs up that there's interest in thinking about it. So we're not going to solve it today, but it's all good.
This is the existential question of like, once properties are out the door, it becomes like a burden on a small staff to manage a gazillion units. And I think that's a really hard thing. It's a really hard thing to do.
And the power of I'm sorry.
I was going to say, Mr. Chairman, is it possible that we could ask for just an update in, let's say, 3 months?
Sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
Just see where you guys are at that point.
Absolutely.
Because we're obviously all speculating right now. You're
Yeah.
doing more than speculating.
Yeah.
So, perhaps we could get a better sense of just all these,
Yeah,
ideas
no, I
popping around. Yeah.
appreciate the suggestion.
Sure.
And why don't we wrap it
Just
up with.
your point is interesting, and this is where like the AI machine has done a great job of marketing AI because everyone thinks everything is AI, right?
Yeah.
And like when you're talking about why can't the systems that the property managers use to manage their properties integrate with ProLink so that we can exchange information tech to tech? That has nothing to do with AI.
That's nothing to do with
Right?
AI at
But it's
all.
like we all, and again, I'm guilty
No,
of
I
it
think
too.
James was saying though, and then
we
feed
have
enough
to do
data.
On top of
Right,
that, but that's like,
right.
it's tech, it's like, as you're saying, that has nothing to do with AI at all, but it's more about can we like take our management controls and layer it on top of that.
Yeah, and boost it.
But typically taking in that much data would be like, what use is taking it every month? Because that means someone has to go look at it. Like that's the burden that could be solved.
What's the chime from Law and Order? Like to be continued.
All right, thank you both.
Thank you.
Okay, so nothing to vote on. The last 14 items are all information items. We're not going to get a presentation from DECO. We had the report earlier. Just one item before we close out. The board self-evaluation forms are in the materials. Will we circulate those to the board? So we'll circulate those, or you can print them from the materials. We got to fill those out and get them in, please. So with that, I guess.
Well, wait, one last item I mentioned to you, right, that if obviously a matter of personal privilege, I guess, but my birthday is in January. It's January 13th, which I don't know what day of the week it is, but the Saturday after that is January 17th. And so there's a birthday celebration at a restaurant in Harlem, Setapani. And what I've obviously the board and staff, for that matter, are invited. And I would, if I could, give that information
Please,
to
circulate.
you. And then
It's a public meeting, so now.
Lots of birthday cards.
I was going to say that.
So, but it goes from like 7 till when people just figure out they have something else to do. And
Cool.
yeah, and it's
Thank you for
that's
that.
it, so, but
Very nice.
So and it's they always bake good cakes. So I'll get the information to you.
Thank you for the
And then,
invitation.
you can
Happy holidays to everyone. And with that, I'll ask Will to wrap us up. Thank you.
Assuming the motion second previously recorded, all in favor of adjourning the meetings, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. The meetings are adjourned.
Thanks,
Well,
everyone.
happy birthday. I don't think we'll see you before.
Yeah.
Do we meet before the 17th?
No,
I was looking.
22nd.
birthday celebration.
Oh, 22nd. Okay.
But yes. I will continue to be the second.
Who's the oldest?
You guys have, I didn't know you.
You've already decided that?
All right.
Thank you for
Yes.
smooth.
Yes, oh, sorry, I meant to announce that.